Good morning, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So I was just reading a couple of articles this before work here, and I tell you, it never surprises me the unintended consequences that come from just about anything government does. This is one of the reasons why I don't believe in government handouts. I don't think people take into consideration what would happen. And then once one problem starts creating another problem, in order to fix that problem, they create another problem on top of it. And you just sit back there and watch and say, thank God I'm not involved. This payroll protection program, people were given a bunch of money. They said, go out there, get this loan. If you do these particular criterias, you use it to continue paying your employees, use it for utilities, use it to pay rent or whatever. I mean, if you use it in particular criteria, then you can turn it into a grant and you won't owe the money back. And so a lot of people did that, and they thought that they were in the money. They were like, great, I got all this free money. And the IRS says, hey, got yourself some free money, did you? How much you get? Because you owe taxes on that money. See, all these people who thought that they were in it thinking, man, look at all this free money I got. All I had to do was just pay my employees, pay rent, pay utilities, and it was all for nothing. Look at, I'm in it. Stimulus package, yeah. IRS is like, yeah, you owe us too. Yay. Congress is stepping up saying, hey, this is not what we intended this payroll protection program to do. And everybody says, yeah, but every time government involves themselves into anything, they screw it all up. And there's all kinds of unintended consequences that come from it. And this is not a surprise to me at all. What's interesting is that you think about this payroll protection program and how they get the money. See, the government stepped up and said, okay, we're going to issue out a whole bunch of more treasuries, go deeper into debt to come up with this money. Federal Reserve says we're going to print up a bunch of money and buy those treasuries that you're trying to sell from the primary dealers. This is how the money system works up above everybody who, has cash in their pocket. Jamie Dimon steps up and says, I wouldn't touch treasuries with a 10-foot pole. Now, if you don't know who Jamie Dimon is, it doesn't really matter. Just know that he's a big-time top banker and is involved with JP Morgan. And there is relentless stories and articles and talk about this guy and how he is manipulated manipulated the silver market with their ETFs and silver futures, and it just goes on and on. Jamie Dimon is constantly in the news. He is very controversial when it comes to the big time money bankers. I mean, you just have to Google his name and go check him out. It's just it's relentless on him. And he is saying that he wouldn't touch treasuries with a 10-foot pole. This is the government debt. And why? Because they don't pay an interest rate. The yields on them are so low that they're not worth holding. See, that was the big argument against gold, is that anybody who ever said gold was an investment, they were like, it's a dumb asset. It sits on the shelf, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't pay a dividend, it doesn't have an interest rate attached to it, it's just a metal. The only reason why you would buy it is because you intend on selling it to the greater fool. Somebody who would pay more for it, essentially. Jamie Dimon is stepping up saying these treasuries, they don't have a yield to them. They're so low. And it was just like, well, they've been low for a very long time. You're just now saying you wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole? Why? Why wouldn't you say that months ago when they were really low? See, they were a 10-year treasury was trading what? I think it had a yield of around 0.5%, and now it's up around close to 1, 0.9 something. So you're saying that you wouldn't touch them now, but, a few months ago, where were you when they were really low? See, I have a feeling that the government is about ready to do a lot more stimulus spending because they're going to have to fix this problem with all these taxes because these businesses are not going to be able to afford all of them, and they're going to go under if they don't. So they're going to have to go into debt to pay for the taxes that owed in debt. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So they're going to take out even more debt to fix it. And these treasuries, who's going to buy them? Well, the big banks. He's the primary dealer. Jamie Dimon's one of them. And the Federal Reserve. And what happens when the Federal Reserve starts stepping in with a bunch of cash and start buying up treasuries? What happens to the yield? It starts to drop. Prices start to go up. Jamie Dimon is warning people, saying, I wouldn't touch these things with a 10-foot pole, when the Federal Reserve is about ready to go in there and start buying them up. They're going to start dropping the interest rates. When the interest rates go down, the prices go up. He's basically telling the investors that he wouldn't touch them because they're such a worthless asset that doesn't pay an interest rate. The Federal Reserve is about ready to buy them up, and the prices are going to go through the roof while the yields start to fall. See, it's funny. I think about these things because, it's all about perception. It's all about reverse psychologies and stuff like that goes on. You see, you don't have to look at what they say, you look at what they do. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. I remember it gets simple. Take it down to something really simple. There was a time I remember I was working on an apartment complex. And it was kind of this dinky little place out on the beach. And somebody had left a couch, and the couch was actually pretty nice shape. It was like they just bought this thing and left it. It was like it couldn't have been but a few months old, maybe. There was no stains. It was clean. It was nice. I'm like, nobody wanted it, and so they were like, well, put it out there on the corner and see if somebody will take it. They put a sign on it that said free. Sat out there 2 days. Nobody touched it. And the owner of the property was just like, why is nobody taking this really nice couch? And I was just like, because it has free on it, and somebody thinks there's something wrong with it. You got to put a price tag on it. So he went and changed it and put like, I think $15, $25, something like that. I forget. He put a number on there. That night somebody stole it. Problem solved. He just wanted a shed of the thing. But see, nobody wanted a free couch. Somebody wanted something with some value. So you put some value on it, and all of a sudden they'll buy it. And another story, a friend of mine, he kind of flips cars. He bought this truck, got it for $500, got it running, put it out there for like, I don't know, $1,000. Nobody wanted it. Nobody even called him. Nobody asked for it. And I was just like, well, it runs, doesn't it? I said, do you tell it runs? Yeah. And I said, yeah. It was just like, so he takes it down, leaves it off, the sale sites for a week, puts it back up for $1,500, sold it in 2 hours. See, people didn't want a $1,000 truck. They wanted a $1,500 truck. So he put it out there for $1,500. See, it's all about perceptions. And this is exactly what they're doing. And Jamie Dimon is basically trying to, I think, scare investors out of these treasuries prior to the Federal Reserve stepping in, so nobody will go out there and front run them. That's what I think, anyway. So the Federal Reserve can actually buy in at a lesser price, or the primary dealers can, in order to sell them to the Federal Reserve. But anyway, I think that there's a bunch of money printing that's about ready to start up. It's going to go back into quantitative easing. They're going to do a bunch of stimulus packages to fix the stimulus packages they already done. They're going to hand out a bunch of money to people so that they can get money velocity going. All that's going to just mask over all the old debt that was already there to fix all the problems, which will create a whole bunch of more new problems. And I don't think Jamie Dimon wants a bunch of investors meddling in their stuff. Uneducated Economist. You guys let me know.